Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. In this video, God has asked me to talk about the next phase, basically, of Ascension, and that essentially is referring to creation, right? Mostly, although always bondage breaking is part of it, part of the spiritual uh, fight, but also part of the spiritual existence. So that will be part of it as well. But God has asked me to focus on creation. Um, of course, creation means manifesting, right? I'm not going to get into the discussion about how you manifest from an energetic point of view, from a mind level point of view, because this has been discussed in so many other videos. Um, I will focus more on the spiritual fighting dimension, and there are two issues which I want to emphasize. Is that you must understand who you are supposed to be. All the attacks are connected to your ranking, to your identity, and to your gifts. Most of us weren't aware who we were, what are the gifts, what are the rankings, um, and for this reason, I mean, to this end, they created bondages, so we won't find out, and to steal those from us, so they created copycats. This is the basic logic of the 3D, stealing from those from 5D and creating bondages. All narratives that you hear in 3D, even, you know, the history, the mythology stories, the ancient stories about different empires and so on, about kings and queens and so on. I tell you from my experience, all of those are fake. And they are created in such a way so it will legitimate whatever type of agenda different secret societies and cults have. To steal and to create bondage and to steal identity, rights and gifts. Only through spiritual fighting you will learn, first of all, who you are. Second, what's the true story from the divine realm, from Akashic record of that person, of who you are. And I have experienced this each and every single life of my spiritual fighting. I learned in nothing that I knew all my life proved to be true. God showed me that absolutely each and every single thing that I knew was fake knowledge. And God told me, actually, this is why I didn't encourage you so much to read books, to do research in normal 3D dimension, because all of it is lies, and they are directing you on a wrong path. That's the point. So I think it's essential that you learn who you are truly from the divine realm and Akashic records, and what's the true story of your personage. From comparing the 3D story with what you learn from Akashic records to be the divine truth, in between the two is your spiritual fighting of bondage breaking. This is the only way you stop your opponents to attack you. So once you do this, you successfully get to the end of bondage breaking, and you close karmic cycles, right? Ideally, but you shouldn't wait until you close karmic cycles to start creation. You should start earlier. I have said this before. If you work with your gifts, it has a healing effect on you. It's extremely important. But anyhow, at the moment when you contemplate of starting systematically your creation, a planning, sort of say, of your creation, I think, of course, you have to have divine guidance. You should think of how would you manifest the person who you are supposed to be. Once you learn from the divine realm who you are, what are your gifts and the true divine truth about that personage. How would you like, what would you imagine the contribution of your identity would be in advancing the ascension, in creating the 5D, and so on, right? So you have to have a picture, you have to identify throughout your bondage breaking. You will learn about your gifts. As I said in other videos, depending on what you do in your fighting, God and all your ancestors will gift you different new abilities, and you have to include those as well, and decide what would you like to, how would you like that to come into being in a material existence. Then you must keep in mind that all your attacks have power only because a bondage exists a bondage, and they stole something from you. That's the only power that they have. Once you take everything back and close successfully all karmic cycles, then the attacks won't have power over you. That's a fact. You must take everything back. Each and every single minor thing that you take back will diminish their power. Actually, I'll give you my example. God is showing to me, tell them what you said. I'll give you my example. I said, and I say that still, I said to God, each and every single thing that ever, in any lifetime, in any timeline, in any embodiment, in any incarnation, has ever been stolen, or blocked, or tampered with from me, I take it back. I want it back. Everything. I do not care even if that means too much abundance, too much material, financial, or whatever abundance. I said I prefer to take everything back, to make sure that I broke all bondages, and I do not allow power to darkness from what is mine. And I prefer to gift those. And I actually said this to the karmic board and to God, to guide me if I have too much financial abundance, how basically I would make use of it the best. And I'm pretty sure that there are many individuals who need help. I can establish different type of trusts and different type of, I don't know, scholarships, schools, whatever. There are so many things. Housing for homeless, so many things. Not all individuals are fortunate enough to have been advancing in spiritual fighting. And those that actually the karmic board from the divine realm decides that have done all possible to fight, and it was not their fault that they didn't succeed to break the bondage yet, and they need maybe help. For example, I'll give you an example. Maybe some of them need help for the spiritual journey, financial help. I know I needed financial help for my spiritual journey. I resigned from my job, which was the only income in 3D I had, 1 year before I started my spiritual journey. So I had no income for a year when I started my spiritual journey. And my spiritual journey lasted for 1 full year, 1 full year to the day, 1 full year. And I went to 12 countries. So I know from experience that it would have been great, and I didn't get to the destination where I intended to go, because I didn't have enough money to pay for specific costs related to transport for Lucky, for me, all the demarches necessary, and all the costs at the destination. So there are so many ways in which, even if I have a tremendous financial abundance, I still can do something better with it than to leave it to somebody who stole it from me. So I God told me to say this to you. This is what I said, and I don't think it's funny. It's just I find it funny that God is pushing me continuously to say things from my life, which I don't necessarily think should be the purpose of my videos. But yes, if this can be an example for anyone, Many of us are such identity which comes with tremendous financial abundance. This is also why we have been facing tremendous attacks. But that doesn't mean that you should be generous with those who stole from you, with darkness. You're not going to close cycles, karmic cycles, if you do that. This is maybe why I'm speaking about this, and why God wants me to say this. Because if you don't, what you allow will continue. You don't take something back, then whatever you don't take back, that means you gave that power to the darkness. So personally, this is my intention, and this has been my request for a long time now, and I still insist on this request, because I have, there are so many animals on the face of the planet that I could help, for example, with the money that I don't use for myself. I have so many businesses and projects that I want to launch. There are so many ways in which you can do good with your money, with your material abundance, regardless how is that shaped in properties, in money, in whatever other stocks and other type of abundance. So if this helps anyone, then I invite you to do the same, because God will show you people who actually do need help, people who are actually doing the spiritual fighting, but they cannot do specific things because they need money. I mean, just imagine if somebody is homeless. I keep saying this to God, you know. How would you like the homeless people to do this when they don't have the proper food to clean their energy, where they don't have a proper place to stay, to do a meditation and so on? How would you like them to win? How is that acceptable? This is true. You can do so much good, and you can help so many people who have maybe haven't been fortunate enough to advance so much in spiritual fighting. So this is an example. This is my example. This is how I want to do things. Now, but whatever you do, I still advise for you to take everything back, because this will prove to you that this will help you make sure that you close all cycles and you take the power back. You must take everything back and work with it. Find purpose for it. You will find purpose for it. I promise you. I promise you. If you have money and you have nothing else to do, let me know, because I have so many projects that I want to develop. So you can invest in my projects. You can donate to my projects. Anyhow, we are in the phase of conscious. There are two more messages from God, these ones, which are very important. We are currently in the phase of conscious and assumed spiritual fighting. I said this before. For a long time, we have been in a survival mode. Namely, not much of it was known to everyone. For the simple reason God has shown to me was because, as I explained, these dark forces have a metamorphosis of their own. And God decided there was a specific time in the metamorphosis of those forces when a significant energetic upgrade will take place. So more people would actually awake. Yeah. So for a long time we've been in survival mode. That means that whatever you remembered to do, to be close to your soul, you have done from spiritual perspective. But like I said in my video, maybe you are not in another video, maybe you are not aware that this is spiritual fighting. Like in my case, I explained already this in a video called Awoke but Not Aware. So I have done much spiritual fighting without even knowing, like a lot of mystic prayer, a lot of different things, but not literally bondage breaking and spiritual fighting consciously for a long time. At this point in time, we are already in the phase where all this is being done consciously. Hence, God, in order to make sure, and this is related to the creation phase, God has decided to put an end to these illegal claims on different individuals, male or women, which is being used as an instrument to steal their rights, to steal their gifts, to block their gifts, to block their path, to make sure that they don't advance, they don't learn about their gifts, and so on. So, for this reason, God has two tools which He wants me to mention now. One is Matriarchat, and I wrote a lot. I think it was 2 years ago, in 2020, or maybe, yeah, I think that, yes, in 2020, fall and winter. I wrote a lot about Matriarchat and I explained the idea is that women declare Matriarchat. That means no man, even if you're legally married with him. This is like prenuptial, agreement, essentially, in which through Matriarchat nobody has rights over you as a woman. This will make sure, and this has a huge advantage for both the male and the woman in the relationship. First of all, that so in this way, the man who's with you will not be subjected to the attacks and temptations and darkness being sent to him only to make him betray you and sell you out. This is important, and God has shown me in my spiritual fighting that many men throughout the world didn't purposefully intend to betray their spouse, but they were tricked. Others, actually, like my ex-husband, they did it consciously because they just wanted, or they were just envious and they wanted to get money out of it. But with Matriarchat, nobody can do this. Nobody on the face of the planet, regardless what is your relation with them. In terms of material gifts and spiritual gifts, in terms of rights, in terms of ranking. So basically, Matriarchat is pretty easy to understand what it means. But this is the great advantage, and it's also an advantage for the woman as well, because then you know if that man actually comes to you honestly, wants to be with you honestly for who you are, or if that man is more interested in your abundance, in your financial status. There will be probably gifts of the union, which is different. But God didn't mention those. Me, actually, what He said is that Matriarchat is one of the instruments that He intends to use, and He asked me to encourage women to do this. I did it since 2020. I declared Matriarchat in 2020 because all men actually that have ever seeked me have done it because they wanted to steal my gifts, to sell contracts on me, to block me. So I was like, okay, I'm not wasting time with jerks. That's enough, So that's something that can help each of you, but also the couple. If you're meant to be in a couple, or regardless if you're meant to be in the couple, if you decide to be in a couple, because these are times of great turmoil, and maybe you don't need this in your life. Maybe you just need some peace and quiet to create your projects. And you don't want to have to make a decision. You don't have to watch somebody and make sure that he's not betraying, that he's not doing this, he's not doing that, he's not, that's also a stress. So anyhow, Matriarchat is something that anyone can declare. Write a astral letter to the karmic board meeting, because it's coming up just now, so you can request this if you want. And please go back on my Facebook page 2 years ago and start reading what I wrote about Matriarchat, because those are really important readings. I explained there in details all the advantages, which don't all of them come to me right now. So Another instrument that God is said to mention that He is using in this phase of a conscious spiritual fighting, of bondage breaking, is that God won't give the gifts to you until you break the bondage. And this actually, I know from my experience. So what God is doing now, when you start conscious spiritual fighting, and this has happened to me as well, and I mentioned this already in a video, namely, God basically said, as long as these bondages exist, they will steal from you whatever I give you. And He gave me examples. He said, they stole this from you, I then made justice for you, and I gave again new material gifts, a new beginning, all new. I gave you all new. Then they tricked you again, and again they stole everything from you, and so on. And they transfer their karma to you. I gave you the new beginning. They stole the new beginning from you. They transfer all the karma to you, and not only that, but because they transferred all the karma to you and they used your gifts to manifest, they have done huge harm to so many other people with the power they took from you. So this is not the right way to go. And God has shown me, look how many times I gave you a new beginning, and every time they succeeded to transfer the karma to you. And then, of course, we started working on bondage breaking. So God will not give you your divine rights in material form. What He will do, of course, there is a trust fund which is being created by the karmic board in the divine realm, where all your gifts, which you succeed to take back through your spiritual fighting and bondage breaking, are being deposited, God said. And you will receive them when you successfully close the all karmic cycles, just to make sure that they don't take it back. This is very serious. I'm laughing because I think it's funny, but God is funny many times. You must know this. God many times is very funny, but this is true. This is as well. I didn't get yet to move into my new house because of this. But throughout my spiritual fighting, God has shown me my trust fund in the divine realm. And He showed me, you want this back, you want this back, you still have to do this, you still have to do this. Seriously, I'm not kidding you. It's very serious. And basically what God does, He establishes what are the rights that you have, and He will give them back to you. So He will give you a new beginning with everything at the proper time, when they cannot steal anymore, when you finish the spiritual fighting and bondage breaking with them. Of course, that can be recreated at some point in the future, unfortunately. But I'll assure you that God will make you go through endless tests to make sure that you are prepared enough, so you won't be tricked again, so you won't allow karma to be transferred to you again, and so on. So I emphasize this for those of you who intend to recreate relations with karmic individuals. Please know that God will not give you your material gifts back. Just so you know, they will succeed to transfer their karma to you, and also God will not give you your gifts back, and it will be a really bad experience for you if you don't think this through carefully. I'm very serious here. I'm not kidding. God has shown to me throughout times, during these years of conscious spiritual fighting, that I will receive everything back when I finish this spiritual fighting and bondage breaking. And you will go through tests to make sure that you know how to protect and to multiply your financial abundance in a 5D type of way of thinking, and until you learn all your lessons that you need to learn in order to receive that. So this is a very serious time, because At this point in time, if God, just think this, if God will give you, if you, let's say you are some sort of Greek queen or whatever type of identity you have, and God would give you all your divine rights in material form, um, imagine that you go back to a karmic who's connected to really bad or enemies from extraterrestrial forces, and imagine that he will steal all of that from you. This is great power that you give to an enemy. God cannot afford this. I'm sorry, my throat chakra is still affecting. God cannot afford this. Nobody can afford this, in fact, to be honest. Nobody can afford this at this point in time. We are at a specific time in Ascension. You must understand this. When God cannot allow everyone to keep making mistakes simply because they don't want to learn, then God will keep you in poverty right next to your karmic body. So you, if you really love him and you really want to be with him, then you can leave that karma with him, but in poverty, not with your money, not with him getting your money, because no karmic will stay with you in poverty. I promise you that. He only comes back to you because of money. This is the why they want to come back. Make sure to understand this. Anyhow, these are personal decisions. I'm just providing some input and some information. The fact of the matter is that the message is God won't give you, anyone actually, the material form of your divine rights until you learn your lessons. These are, of course, the tools with which you will create and manifest and create an impact in 5D. This is important. I chose to speak only about this. Of course, there is the energetic dimension of the manifesting, how you do this energetically. But if God will guide me to talk about that, I will make a specific video, a different video. As of now, the messages I got from God to convey are these related to spiritual fighting, to make sure that people focus on this phase of creation. God is showing to me that many individuals are focusing on cashing in the financial rights, but are not focusing on their creation. Okay. So you should start writing concepts, business concepts, for your projects. What do you intend to do concretely? I didn't get it. This is what I was supposed to talk about. Okay. So you should write a business plan. If it's too early for a business plan, you should write at least a concept paper about your idea, about what you want to achieve, what is the mission of that project, what resources you need, and so on. It's just a concept paper. And then, of course, the next step would be the planning, where you talk about resources in more methodical way. So you start envisaging more in details what you need in order to develop that project, namely building, furniture, car, whatever you need, technology, depending on whatever project you have. Maybe some of you will do something with agriculture. Maybe some will do something related to buildings. Buildings. Whatever you decide to do, you should focus on that and create that before the karmic board meeting. Because this is how you show to the karmic board meeting what you intend to do with your financial gifts. And depending on how... Oh, I didn't even understand that people don't know this. When the karmic board meeting will allocate resources to you if you explain this. I said this in another video where I spoke about you talking to the karmic board meeting about your plans for the future. I said this. You should, of course, explain what you want to do in order to get help. And when I say help, this I refer also to resources. In order to gain resources, in order to gain support from different ancestors, depending on whatever kind of projects you have, there are specific ancestors that will come to you to help you, or not ancestors, just simple guides which are emblematic for that topic that you want to invest in. So they will come to you and they will help you. But you have to create the project, and you have to infuse your project with intent. So you can do this in many ways. You can either way you have to write the concept paper. It doesn't really matter you have to write it anyway. And you can use your concept paper, for example, you can create like a specific file, let's call it this way, and you can put it on the altar, put it next to ancestral, astral letter to the karmic board, maybe on your altar, pray over it, because meditate over it, because you will receive more guidance, and this is when the guides will come to you to talk to you, to help you, and so on. Then you can do a sigil, and I explained in another video what a sigil is. A sigil is basically a symbol. You create a symbol. You can also choose a symbol, but it's ideal to create it, to be your own. And that symbol is supposed to encapsulate an entire prayer. So on a piece of paper, you write a prayer to God for protection, for manifestation, for you must be very cautious what you write, because you don't want this to make out of this a spell, incantation, and whatever kind of you shouldn't be talking about or thinking to affect the free will of others. You should look at my Facebook page, because I posted there in 2019 a number of sigils, and you should look there. But the point is, you should write that prayer to God in which you ask for protection. Mainly it's for protection. The sigil is mainly for protection or for manifesting something that you want to achieve. And the purpose of a sigil is that instead of you going into your mind over that prayer, which might be many times a page long or 2 pages long, or whatever you want to protect, house, your items, your car, your transportation to a destination, your pets, your animals, your children, whatever. You can also make protection for a chakra, for your chakra, for a gift you have, for whatever. You can make, you can ask protection against each and every type of attack that you receive. Anyhow, the point is that throughout the day, and particularly during the spiritual attacks, you don't go through the entire prayer. You only look at the symbol. You can paint that symbol on your body like a temporary tattoo, on your windows, on your walls, on your car. I also used to do, not now, but I used to do the last few years, sigil on my property, on my land. Like I would have different tails, these ones that you put on the floor, basically to pave the floor, and I will use those to make a sigil for protection for my courtyard, and for my dogs who were staying in the courtyard, right? For your house, of course, you can do. I put sigils on my doors, on my windows, for example, and so on. So the point is, instead of going through that prayer and read it all every time, you just look at the sigil, and once you look at the sigil, instantly that entire prayer is activated. But you have to write, and so you can write a sigil like this for each project you have, and you can ask help from the divine realm. In that sigil you can explain. Look at Prince, the singer Prince. I explained this in a writing. Look at the symbol he chose. That's a sigil, and he did that in order to protect his audience and himself from different type of spiritual attacks, particularly early in his career, when he was being attacked with sexual energy. This is also why his music, if you look at it, is very different, very much sexual and sensual in his initial part of his career. And then when he switched to that symbol, the vibe already changed. And that's when also he adopted that symbol when he started the war with Warner Brothers. And this is why he started the war with Warner Brothers, in order to take rights over his own creation, his music, because they were using his music, infusing it with sexual energy, which was affecting him and also his audience. So that's a sigil. That's the story of a sigil. So you'll understand. You can make this, it's a protection, I explained. So you can make this specific for a project, like, and you can put it on the altar. So you can, for example, either, I said this, have it tattooed on your body, so you can look at it like on your hand. So throughout the day, when you think of your project, you look at that sigil, and that is, you should probably Google a little bit to understand about sigils, but the point is that it's very powerful. It's very powerful. Namely that it instantly activates the entire prayer which you wrote to be the description of that sigil. Okay? Yeah. So you can do this. You can do, I mean, you should invest your effort and energy in doing that. I mean, you shouldn't just wait to receive the money to see what you do next, because I'm telling you, I didn't get it in the beginning why God wants me to talk about this, because God will not give you the money if you don't have any plans, and on top of it you also intend to return to a karmic, or to accept a karmic to return to you. God will not give you your money back, just so you know. you should start working on it. I'm telling you. Yeah. Okay, I guess this is what I was supposed to talk about. I didn't know from the very beginning that this is the situation. There are many ways in which you can start working in this phase on your projects and the creation phase. Even if it's a gradual thing and you don't really have the resources to actually create it. Like, for example, I gave you the example of my project with for a sanctuary for dogs. I don't have yet financial resources in my hand to create the sanctuary, but I started already the bondage breaking. I already have 9 dogs which are adopted by me, and I will create the sanctuary as soon as I get to my next destination. So, and because I do this, I already gained beneficity and the support in divine realm for receiving the resources to do this more extensively and more professionally. Not that I'm not doing it professionally now, I just don't have the resources, the material resources to create a more of a professional space for them, because this is all the space I have. Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna stop here because this is a long video. So it's about your creation phase and how you should start working on it in order to help you receive those divine rights. I wish good luck to everyone, and make sure to make the wise choices. Remember that you're here to dismantle 3D. You're not here to go back and forth and recreate the same dead-end situations or relations. And it doesn't help anyone, neither you nor the other one, to keep going on the same street with a dead end.